Hey, I'm John Cannell, and today on Preppy Kitchen, we're making a hearty and delicious potato soup. So let's get started. First off, grab a large pot or Dutch oven, and we're gonna cook our bacon in it. You want 8 slices right into the pot. We're gonna use the bacon in the soup, but also use the drippings to flavor the potatoes and onions. It's gonna be really, really good. Don't forget to wash those hands. This goes over medium-high heat until the bacon is nice and crispy. We're gonna be stirring frequently. Cook for about 12 minutes and the fat will render down. We will be cooking the potatoes and onions in that, and it'll give your potato soup so much flavor. Oh, and by the way, kind of random, but if you don't want to use bacon for this recipe, like you could use duck bacon. Duck bacon is actually amazing. It is just kind of hard to find. Duck bacon also has a lot of fat that will render out and flavor the food. Turkey bacon's not gonna work as well. It doesn't have, it's not the same. Once your bacon's all crisped up, remove it onto paper towels just to drain, but we're gonna keep the drippings. I don't wanna be so far away from you though. Back to the other cooktop. Now it's time for a little bit of prep work. I need an onion, some potatoes and garlic, and for some of that, I'm gonna go to my garden. This guy looks good. This yellow onion looks just about right. The sage is nice. I'm also gonna grab some chives, so. Look at that chives. Back to the kitchen. I grab some onion and chives from the garden. Fresh onion is so amazing and no one tells you about it. Most of the onions you get at the store have been in cold storage. They've really been aging and getting all of those crying chemicals to accumulate. These guys, I could literally rub my eyeballs with it and it would be fine. So they are milder in flavor and a pleasure to chop. I'm gonna chop 1 yellow onion. Oh, wait a second, wait. Reserve half of your drippings. Take out a tablespoon or 2. We have extra drippings to use if we need them. You could also just add them in anyways because it'll be extra tasty, so totally up to you. A rough chop for your onion's fine. Don't worry about it if it's not perfect. There we go. My pot's back on medium heat now. That'll warm up in just a second. I'm adding the onions right into the pot. I'll be stirring occasionally. In the meantime, I'm gonna mince my garlic up. This garlic is not from my garden, and so it has all this papery skin, which I do not enjoy. I might grow it next year, but I hear it's a pain. This is such a hearty, satisfying soup. It's full of flavor, and potatoes are very high on the satiating index. They make you feel nice and full. Mix, mix, mix. Mince, mince, mince. You can do 2 things at once. Now my garlic is ready to go into the pot. If you did all your prep work ahead of time, you could have tossed them in together. We're gonna cook this for about 5 minutes or until the onions are translucent. Stir occasionally. You don't want anything to burn. While that happens, grab 3 pounds of creamy, amazing Yukon Gold potatoes, peel them and give them a chop into 1-inch pieces. I don't know if you have anyone in your house that says this, but someone tells me that soup is not a meal, and I do not agree at all. I could have soup, some crusty bread, maybe a little bit of cheese, and be totally happy. But for all those people who say that, this soup is so filling that you can prove them wrong. I'm just putting it out there. Stir, 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 peel, peel, peel. And by the way, if you love Yukon Gold potatoes and you don't mind the skin on them, you could just chop these up. That's not gonna fly at my house, unfortunately. If it was up to me and I was just having the soup, I might give like half the potato the peel or just like a half-hearted peel, but no, no, no. We have some texture issue people here, so I will not try to press my luck on that. All right, now you're gonna chop your potatoes into 1-inch pieces. You just want them to all be like bite-sized and cook evenly. Chop, 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 mind those fingers. My mom visited recently and she loves gardening. So the garden was in full bloom and she and the boys harvested a ton of vegetables and made vegetable soup over and over again. They love soup. So the boys have been requesting different kinds of soups and this one is next on the menu for today. It is time to add in our 3 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes. They're nice and diced. We're gonna cook these for about 5 minutes, stirring occasionally. But if they start to stick, or you feel like it, add the reserved bacon drippings in. That's a lot of potatoes. Give those a good stir to begin with so the onions aren't sitting on the bottom and burning. You want them mixed into the potatoes. There we go. That's nice and mixed up. I am so into soups lately, and there's a bunch of delicious soups for every season in my book. Links in the description box below in case you haven't ordered a copy yet. While this is cooking, you have a chance to collect the rest of your ingredients. We want a 1/4 cup of flour, grab some milk and some chicken stock, and seasonings as well. So let's gather those things up. 4 cups of chicken broth, 1.5 cups of milk. My potatoes are on the verge of sticking to the pot, Dutch oven. So I'm gonna add in the remaining bacon drippings. It'll just help grease things up and add more flavor. That's nice. Yukon Gold potatoes are perfect for this because they are so creamy. If you want to use a russet potato, be forewarned, they can be kind of powdery and grainy when you boil them. So really you want like a Yukon Gold style potato. Russet are great for making fluffy mashed potatoes. Although if I make mashed potatoes, I'll make them with Yukon Gold and maybe a little bit of russet because I want them to be creamy and fluffy. It's time to thicken things up with a 1/4 cup of flour. So just sprinkle that in, mix, 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 sprinkle the rest so you can like kind of avoid some clumps. This will make it really thick and delicious, just like so hearty. I love the soup. The fun part is where you dress it up at the very end because you can pile on the chives, you can add a ton of cheddar or other cheeses you love, bacon, like just load it up. We're gonna cook this for 2 minutes now while stirring frequently, just to make sure that all the flour really gets cooked. You don't want that uncooked flour taste in the soup. The flour and bacon drippings are forming like kind of a delicious roux. So it's just like butter and flour mixed together to thicken up the soup, except now it's bacon. Slowly drizzle in 4 cups of chicken stock while mixing. Whenever you add stock to the flour you cooked with the fat, it's nice to do that slowly, just so it has a chance to really bind with the flour and give you a thicker, silkier sauce or soup. Mix, mix, mix. Towards the end, you can go a bit faster. Do not forget to scrape the bottom of your pot and really get all that delicious caramelized flavor off the bottom. Otherwise, it would go to waste. Now it's time to add in 1.5 cups of milk. This you can just dump in. 1/2 teaspoon of salt plus 1 teaspoon of salt. There we go. 3/4 teaspoon of cracked black pepper. You can't have potato soup without pepper. Don't tell me otherwise. We're gonna bring it to a simmer and then we'll reduce the heat and keep an eye on it. You want it to stay simmering so the potatoes are cooking and this is kind of like losing some of the water and thickening up a bit. But if it gets to a hard boil, which means it's like you see like those big bubbles and it's a rolling boil, it will break the milk and you'll have like little grains. It'll still taste nice. It won't feel nice in your mouth, and mouthfeel is very important for a soup like this. Moral of the story is simmer, don't boil. My soup's come to a simmer. It's time to partially cover it up. Leave a little bit of room for air to escape. Steam, yes, pressure. This is gonna stay at a simmer for about 40 minutes or until the potatoes are nice and soft. You come back and check your soup occasionally just so you can see how your potatoes are doing. You don't want them to be falling apart. They should just be very tender. Everyone's cooktop is a little bit different. We'll be right back. Just about 40 minutes later, my potatoes are beautifully fork tender, and here you have another choice. If you want big chunks of potato in your soup, go on to the next step. If you want it to be kind of creamier with more substance to the actual soup itself, get a potato masher or use the back of a spoon just to smush some of the potatoes down. Not all of them, but do some of them and it'll really kind of make it more like hearty as opposed to soupy. Smush, smush, smush. Now don't go crazy though. There we go. There it is. Oh my gosh, what did we do before potatoes? Life was incomplete. It's time to make this even richer with 1 cup of heavy cream. Just stir that right in. Give that a nice stir. I'm also adding in 1/2 cup of sour cream. This gives us a little bit of tang and more body as well. That of course is 120 grams. Stir, stir, stir. Grab a tasting spoon. Now we're gonna see if this is properly seasoned. That's really nice, but I would love a little soupçon of salt and maybe a bit more pepper as well. Ooh, you know what's really nice in this soup? Paprika or smoked paprika. Those are wonderful flourishes at the end. I love to garnish my soup with that, but you can also mix that in. Or add some chili or cayenne too for some more heat. This, think of it as like your blank canvas to add all your favorite things to. New spoon, we're not gonna double dip. That's nice. That's very nice. This soup should last 4 to 5 days in the refrigerator. Just pop it into an airtight container. It's not for freezing though, so be forewarned. This soup is delicious. We're gonna make it even better with some amazing garnishes. So grab a bowl and let's get to work. Creamy, hearty, cheesy, full of flavor. It's really a must-make recipe. I hope you get a chance to make this, and if you like this video, check out my soup playlist.